Hi, I'm Jeff LeJeune. With the advent of spring and nice weather, people are tempted to get out there and fire up that grill to cook some barbecue. Now, while the idea of a pink steak might sound good and is safe, the same's not true for a burger. And to understand why, I decided to run an experiment. When we put a piece of meat on the grill, the outside of the meat heats up a lot quicker than the inside, and therefore can destroy the bacteria on the surface. But the interior takes much longer to heat up. And that's one reason why we want to use a meat thermometer to detect the temperature. For a steak, the interior is pretty much sterile and does not contain the bacteria. But for a burger, they put that through the grinder, the ground beef, and whatever's on the surface ends up in the interior, and the interior ends up on the surface. So it's all mixed up. To conduct this experiment in the laboratory, we've decided to use two different kinds of media. The first one is a non-selective media that is very nutrient-rich and allows all kinds of bacteria to grow on it. The second one, or McConkey agar, contains bile salts and things that would be present in the intestine, and it selects for organisms that would grow in the intestines, like coliforms or E. coli. First, we would culture, using bacteriological techniques, the surface and the interior of raw steak and raw hamburger. Then we cook burgers to 140 degrees, which would still be pink, and the same with the steak, which would be medium rare. Then we cook them to 160 degrees as well, and compared the inside and the outside microbial content of these pieces of meat as well. Now we want to put these petri dishes in the incubator and leave them overnight to grow. Bacteria like warm temperatures. That's one reason why you want to make sure you put your food in the refrigerator as soon as if you're not going to eat it. And we'll leave that there and see what happens tomorrow morning. Let's just compare these plates side by side. Here we have the surface of the ground beef with colony counts and contamination on the surface of the steak as well. When we look on the inside, you see this ground beef has colonies within the inside of the ground beef, and the steak is clean. There's no growth on this plate. Let's see what we have here. We've left these plates to incubate for about 18 hours. If there's something growing on there, we should be able to see some colonies by now. Since we know there's something on the inside of the ground beef burger, let's have a little closer look. This is the blood agar plate, and we said before we've got growth inside the burger, but nothing on the blood agar plates from the inside of the steak. If we heat it to 140 degrees, colony counts go down on the inside of the burger, and there's still nothing on the inside of that steak. What you really need to do is make sure that burger is adequately cooked. And if we cook it to 160 degrees, we have no growth in either the steak or the burger. That said, as long as you cook the outside of that steak, you don't have to heat it up to 160 degrees to make sure that's safe to eat. In contrast, it's imperative to get to 160 degrees to make sure the inside of that burger is adequately cooked. As you can see from our results, both steak and ground beef are contaminated in the surface, and ground beef is contaminated in the interior when it's raw. As you cook it, numbers decrease, but even cooking to 140 degrees leaves bacteria on the inside of a ground beef burger. So you need to make sure those burgers are cooked to 160 degrees to reduce your risk of foodborne illness. Don't eat those pink burgers. They're not safe.